to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video as the New York Giants are fresh off their bye, off to a 2-8 start as they get set to take on the Chicago Bears, and we certainly still have a lot of football left to play. We have 6 games left in the season, and a lot of Giants fans are going to hope that the New York Giants continue to fight and win as many games as they can. And you know what? I never tell people how to root for their team. I am completely for that. I completely get it. And you know what? I can never root for my team to lose. Then you have a portion of fans who are going to want them to lose as many games as they possibly can to get their highest draft pick. I never tell people how to root for their team. I completely get both sides. And at the end of the day, both sets of fans want what's best for the organization going forward. People may disagree on it, and that's that. But what this video is about projecting where I think the New York Giants will finish in the draft. Right now, they currently sit at 3 overall, and I'm going to get into all the specifics as to what tiebreakers are and what the remaining schedules are for the teams surrounding the New York Giants and where I think the New York Giants could end up and who they could potentially take. A lot of Giants fans want Chase Young. A lot of Giants fans want Thomas. So to be able to get those guys, the Giants more than likely will have to finish top 3 or 4 at the latest in this year's draft, being that there may be some teams at the top of it who may be quarterback needy. So let's jump right into it. Let's jump into the projections, and let's see where the New York Giants currently stand in the standings. So right now, the New York Giants are sitting at number 3 overall if the season were to end today. Now, we all know last year the New York Giants came out and fought after the bye for Shermer when they made some adjustments and they finished 4-4 over their last 8 games. We'll have to wait and see what they do over their last 6. They certainly have some winnable games, and maybe they could move down in the draft order to maybe 5 or 6. Now, the tiebreaker when it comes to draft position is strength of schedule. And if you look over to that 4th column, SOS, the Giants right now, out of all the teams in the top 10, have the lowest strength of schedule, which means they own the tiebreaker. So for a team like Denver or Tampa Bay to pass the Giants, even though they're only 1 game back in the standings, they're actually 2 games back. Because when you look at their strength of schedule, and Atlanta as well, they're at 5-7-1, 5-4-3, 5-2-8. The Giants are at 4-6-3. They are nowhere near the Giants. And being that the Giants still have 2 very bad teams remaining on their schedule in the Redskins and the Miami Dolphins, that will only help their strength of schedule. So I don't see those teams jumping the Giants because, quite frankly, I don't see the Giants winning more than 2, maybe 3 games of the remaining 6. The Jets have a very soft schedule, so I don't see them topping the Giants. The Jets seem to be starting to get things on the right track, and they play a lot of cupcakes down the stretch. I see them winning at least 5, probably 6, maybe even 7 games. So I don't see the Giants really falling any further than 4, maybe 5, but I think they're going to be in the top 4 picks, which means there's a very good chance they could end up with an Andrew Thomas or even Chase Young, seeing how it, plays out. The Cincinnati Bengals, I don't see anybody topping, but I think the Bengals are going to go quarterback. They've had Andy Dalton there for years. I'm not even going to bother looking at their schedule because they are that bad. They're 0-10. Maybe they win 1, 2 games tops, but I honestly don't see the Giants passing them. The highest I could see the Giants going is 2. The lowest is 4, maybe 5, but really 4. I think they're going to be between 2 and 4, and they're going to be jockeying for position with the Washington Redskins and the Miami Dolphins. So let's take a look at their schedules. First team I'm going to look at is the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins right now have the same record as the Giants, but the Giants own the tiebreaker due to the strength of schedule. So if they finish with the same record, the Giants would more than likely, as of now, have the higher draft pick. So let's take a look at their schedule, the Dolphins. First, we're going to look at the strength of schedule. You have the Cleveland Browns, who I think are 4-6. They're probably going to finish the season somewhere around 500 because they do have a soft schedule going forward. So that will not help their strength of schedule. The Eagles, you figure, are going to finish around 500. The Giants, of course, are going to help their strength of schedule, but they're going to do the same for the Giants. The Jets will help the strength of schedule, so will the Bengals, and the Patriots will certainly hurt it. So they're probably going to stay right around where they are. I don't really see them passing the Giants in strength of schedule. The Jets also, I think, will improve over the course of the season. And like I said, finish probably with at least 6 or 7 wins. The Bengals are certainly going to help it, but the Patriots kind of offset that. As far as their wins and losses, I see them losing at Cleveland. Cleveland starting to right the ship, even without Garrett. I think Cleveland at home should get that win. They're home against the Eagles, and the Dolphins have been fighting. I give them a chance in that game, but I'm going to have the Eagles winning, especially being that the Eagles are going to need that game to stay in the division. I don't see them losing that game. At the Jets, they could win. They beat the Jets at home earlier this year, but I think the Jets are starting to turn the corner, and I don't see the Jets getting swept against Miami. At the Giants, again, this is a game that will probably decide who gets the better pick. I'm going to have the Giants winning that at home, but the Giants could certainly lose. I thought that they would beat the Jets. They didn't. The Giants have lost to some very bad teams, so they certainly could lose to Miami. I'll have Miami winning that game, losing that game rather, to the Giants. I'm going to have them beating the Bengals because the Bengals are just so bad and losing to New England. So I'm going to have the Dolphins finishing 3-13 and having about the same strength of schedule as they do now. And now we're going to get to the Washington Redskins. Washington Redskins remaining schedule. The Redskins have been horrendous. Haskins looks like he needs a lot of improvement, even though he did have a decent game this past week and maybe is starting to get things going in the right direction. But that offensive line is so poor. And even though they have the better strength of schedule, when you look at their remaining schedule, maybe they could beat Detroit. It's possible. They definitely could. Detroit without Stafford, they're banged up. Let's give them the Detroit win. That gives them 2 wins. I don't see them winning in Carolina. I don't see them winning in Green Bay. I don't see them winning in Philadelphia or Dallas. Maybe they beat the Giants. The best I could see them doing is 3-13. And the worst I could see is 1-15. They're that bad where they could certainly lose all of these games. I'll have them going 2-14. And the Giants, I'm going to have going based on their schedule. I'll have them going 4-12. I think they beat Miami, and I think they actually beat Washington. I have them losing the rest of their games. They certainly could win that Eagles game if it means nothing, but I think it will mean something for the Eagles the last game of the season. They could beat Chicago in Chicago. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. The best the Giants will have is 5 wins, I think, and the worst is 3. I'm going to have them in the middle at 4, and I'm going to have the Giants finishing with the 4th overall selection. So the way I see it, I'm going to have the Bengals at 1, the Redskins probably at 2, the Dolphins at 3, and the Giants at 4. For the Giants to finish with the 3rd pick or better, they're going to have to lose one of those 2 games between the Redskins and the Dolphins. They certainly could. They just lost to the Jets, who everybody thought were a horrendous team. So if you're rooting for that, you're rooting for them to lose one of those 2 games, if not both. I honestly don't see it. I think the Giants win both, but they could split. The best I see the Giants doing when I look at all the team schedules is 3, and they're probably going to finish 4. And at 4, you stand a good chance to get either Andrew Thomas or Chase Young, being that the Dolphins and the Bengals more than likely could go with a quarterback. So if that is the case, the Giants more than likely will end up with one of those 2 players in the 4 position. But right now, if I had to project it, I would have the Giants finishing with the 4th pick. I'd like to get your guys' thoughts in the comments below. How do you see the rest of this season playing out? And where do you see the Giants finishing in the draft? As always, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.